Good morning, everyone. If you don't know me, I think I've met many of you, but my name is Laura, and I work for WyldLife in Northumberland County, specifically with WyldLife, which is our ministry for middle school students. And so this morning, I just wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing in WyldLife, but to do that, I wanted to share with you a little bit about me. And so I grew up in Woodstock, Virginia, and I grew up in a family that did not go to church. And so I had heard about God in various ways, pop culture kind of ways, but never really heard the truth about Jesus or the Lord. And so I started going to WyldLife my freshman year of high school. And I first got there and I was not very interested in what they had to say. I was very interested in going to McDonald's after. I was very interested in hanging out with my friends. And I was very interested in hanging out with the boys who went to WyldLife. I was not super interested in knowing about Jesus. But thankfully I met my WyldLife leader. Her name was Sarah, and she was an adult in our community. And she kind of just pursued me and wanted to hang out with me and wanted to know things about me that other people didn't want to know. And so I started to notice that there was something different about Sarah, and there was something different about her marriage with her husband, and there was something different about their family, and I wanted to know more. And so I kept going back to WyldLife to hang out with my friend Sarah, and throughout the course of a semester and going to summer camp, I learned about the love of Jesus and what he had done for me and how much he loved me and how much he had forgiven me. And so I just think it's really powerful to realize that when we talk about WyldLife and WyldLife, we're not just talking about kids by the masses. We're not talking about numbers. We're talking about kids with names, names that our Lord Jesus knows and cares about very deeply and wants to have with him in heaven. And so I want to talk to you about a guy named Zacchaeus. I don't know if you've heard this story, but it's a story told in the Gospel of Luke. And Zacchaeus was a tax collector, which basically meant that he was not very well liked by people. He kind of was a shady guy, didn't really, was not honest, kind of benefited off of other people's suffering. And so it says in Luke 19, Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was so short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. And I like to think of this story when we think about WyldLife, because I think the kids that we are reaching are the kids in the trees, the kids who are not so sure about Jesus and don't know if he's for them and don't know if he could ever love them because of some of the stuff that they've done. And when I think about Zacchaeus, I think that I was Zacchaeus. I was going to WyldLife and was kind of taking Jesus in at arm's length. And because my WyldLife leader decided to climb the tree with me and answer my questions and talk to me about Jesus, I got to meet Jesus, and he said to me, "Laura, come down from that tree. I want to know you and love you." And so I'm just really excited that I get to do this work here in Northumberland County, and that I get to do it with this age group of middle school students. There's often a lot of programs for elementary school kids, and there's a lot of programs for high school kids, but middle school is a really forgotten age, where they are trying to figure out who they are, and it kind of sets them up for the rest of their life. And if they're not being told in middle school who they truly are in the Lord, that kind of sets them up for a lot of pain and suffering throughout their life until they do eventually, someone steps in and gets to tell them that. And so what we do in WyldLife and WyldLife is we walk with kids as they're processing these questions, as they don't even know that they're thinking about Jesus. They have no idea that that's what we're there for some of the times. But the Lord really moves in amazing ways that we get to enter into their world and earn the right to be heard, rather than passing out flyers and saying, "Come to our thing." We get to go where they are and get to know them and invite them into this exciting life with Jesus. And so that's what we're doing in Northumberland County with middle school students. We recently took our first camp trip. It was a winter weekend trip to Rockbridge, which is in Goshen, Virginia, and we have 5 kids come with us. And it was a really great weekend. It was just really sweet to see the Lord breaking down walls in these kids, of kids who knew that this was like a Christian thing, but to see them kind of process maybe for the first time what it looks like to actually follow Jesus in a personal way rather than just going to church on Sundays. And so I'm really excited to see where the Lord takes us this semester. We're going to be starting Club, which is our large group event where kids get to come and laugh with their friends, hang out with their leaders, and hear about a God who loves them. We're going to be starting that this semester, and we're also going to be starting Campaigners, which is our small group Bible study, where kids get to kind of process a little bit more about what they're hearing and ask the questions that they have and really just figure out what it looks like to read our Bible and to follow Jesus. And so we're doing some really exciting stuff this semester. And I'm really thankful for all of you and the ways that you have given behind the scenes and have prayed behind the scenes and have loved me in my first couple months here. I ask that you would just continue to do that. Continue to pray for our ministry. Continue to pray for kids. There are 300 kids at Northumberland Middle School, and a lot of them don't know the hope that Jesus has for them. And so I just ask that you would continue to pray for them and ask the Lord how he would have you serve in WyldLife, whether that is just being a part of the prayer team. That's an incredible way that you can serve our ministry, but there's also other ways if you're feeling led to do so, and I would love to talk to you about that. But I just ask as we continue to go into this semester and we're starting all these new and exciting things that you would keep me in your prayers and you would keep our kids in your prayers because they need to know Jesus and they need to know that he loves them, and I'm really excited that the Lord has brought me here to play a part in that. So come and find me after if you have any questions, and that's it.